Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is a goat who forms an unusual friendship with a boy. Read the story to find out if there are similarities between Timur and Tinker. I had been sitting on the bank of a small irrigation canal, gazing at herons fishing in muddy water when I felt something push my elbow. Looking around, I found a little goat at my side, soft as velvet and with pretty grey eyes. Neither her owner nor her mother was around. As she continued to nudge at me, I took a ginger biscuit from my pocket and held it out to her. She ate it with relish, then sat down beside me and began nibbling at the grass. A little later, when I started walking homeward, she followed me unsteadily. Go home, I said as she danced around me and with thin trembling legs, but she did not seem to understand. I kept walking, feeling sure that I would soon leave the young goat behind, but her legs were stronger than I had thought. She came along with a hop, skip, and a jump right up to the gate of our house. There was nothing I could do but carry her in and present her to grandfather. Not another, said grandmother when she saw the goat in the garden drinking from a saucer of milk. I have told both of you again and again that I will not put up with another bird or animal in the house. Grandfather always smilingly help me. Goat's milk is very good for your rheumatism, he told grandmother. The hope of milk made grandmother accept the new pet, even thought it would be some time before the goat could give us any. The goat was named Tinkerbell after the fairy in the story of Peter Pan. She was a lot like the fairy. She skipped and pranced, and her feet seemed as if they were fixed with springs. When she leaped about on the grass, I tied a little bell to her neck. I always knew by its tinkling where she was likely to be found. Goats grow fast, and unlike Peter Pan and the fairies, Tinker Bell had to grow up. To begin with, Tinker Bell developed a little pair of horns. Her appetite began to increase too. The leaves of the nasturtium, the sweet pea, and the geranium were her favorite. One morning, grandmother found all her sweet peas destroyed. I think cow got into the garden at night, I said quickly. Grandmother did not say anything, but the look in her eyes told me that she knew who had done the deed. The next day, the gardener came to grandmother to say that he had been bending over the sweet pea bed, putting it right again. When Tinker Bell had come up quietly and butted him front from behind, he refused to work in the garden until Tinker Bell was tied up. And by the way, said grandmother after we had calmed her down, when are we going to have that milk we were promised? Grandfather stroked his chin and tried to look innocent. Tinker Bell began using her horns at every chance. The postman, the fruit seller, and our cook all had complained to make. They dared not turn their backs on dear Tinker Bell. The climax during the visit of one of my aunts, she had been bending over a pot in the garden looking at the geranium when Tinker Bell decided to use her horn to move her out of the way. It was the end of Tinker Bell's stay with us. My aunt insisted that she had been badly injured. Though she refused grandfather's offer of first aid, grandmother ordered the cook to take Tinker Bell straight to the bazaar and sell her to the first customer who came along. Tinker Bell seemed to know she was being taken away forever. Her eyes were quite moist as she was dragged unwillingly down the road to the bazaar. I stood at the gate and watched her being led away. She kept looking back and bleating, wondering why I was not going along with her on the particular walk. I could only wave to her and hope that her next owner would be kind. When the cook came back, he said the Tinker Bell had been sold for 1 rupee, but later he told me that he had not sold Tinker Bell but had taken her to his own house where she would be looked after well. I did visit Tinker Bell occasionally, and in due course I found her with her little white kid. Tinker Bell was giving the cook's family a good supply of milk, and they were very pleased with her. She was very friendly with everyone in the cook's house, only butted strangers who bent too low when giving the usual salam. Ruskin Bond.